The idea of this farm is so you can AFK the killing of chaos elementals while keeping the player safe from master mode enemies. Lower difficulties just make the farm more efficient, it still works fine. Although the drop chance is 1 in 500 in normal mode, but it's still probably faster. In 1.4, two very key things were changed about the spawning of chaos elementals in order to stop people from AFK farming them. If the player is standing in front of a player-placed background wall, no chaos elementals will spawn. This means you can't respawn inside the farm without finding a workaround, and the player has to have moved under their own steam or used an item in the last 5 seconds, so you can't AFK farm them at all without finding a workaround. There's also the small issue of enchanted swords, bats that float around taking up spawning space, and hallowed mimics. All are dealt with and AFK farmed along with the elementals. Yes, I somehow created an AFK Hallowed Mimic farm. I don't know how I did it either. Note to all hardcore and medium core players. In my many hours of using this farm, I haven't had the character die, unless I forgot something rather crucial. But I don't suggest trying it, as I have had it get rather close, and I don't want you to accidentally have all your items destroyed or your entire playthrough destroyed. So please don't try it. First of all, I'm going to go through all the things you need for the farm. These aren't the items you will need to actually use the farm, I'll cover those later so this list doesn't become enormous. You'll need these NPCs in your world. Mechanic, who is found in the dungeon, the Steampunker, who will spawn after one mechanical boss has been defeated, and the Party Girl, who spawns randomly after you have 6 NPCs in your world. You need these items to build it: the grand design and a few hundred wire. 42 buckets of lava, just make like 5 buckets and refill them, you're underground anyway. 6 teleporters, 3 yellow pressure plates, 60 bubble blocks, and 24 clockwise conveyor belts. A timer of any description, I use half a second because I can just buy it, and a dart trap. You will also need a bed and about 100 wood, and lots of stone, which you'll just get from mining out the farm, so don't worry about it. A campfire, heart lantern, and water candle. Any questions on obtaining these items and I'd be happy to answer them in the comments. Next, you want to start digging. Start digging from the surface with a depth meter, and as soon as it says you're in the cavern layer, dig 5 blocks down and stop. If you don't have a depth meter, find where the lava starts, then dig up 150 tiles and start from there. Then, find one tile you want to call the center and then dig 100 tiles to both the left and right. An excellent strategy for mining out precise space is to use the ruler tool combined with the grand design or a wrench. The ruler tells you exactly how many tiles something is away. Start at the block after the one you want to call the center, then measure 50 blocks, and on that 50th block, place one piece of wire. The wire can be placed really far away, so it can be used as a marker. Then, dig up to this marker, start measuring from the tile after the marker for another 50 tiles, dig up to that marker, and then stop. In the recording I was digging the place too big, so you can stop here. This should make a tunnel that is 201 tiles long. Head to the ends of the tunnels and dig 97 blocks down. The best way to do the vertical ones is to do the same, but because the screen is shorter in the y-axis, use 22 tiles, then start measuring after, and then 3 lots of 25 tiles. Again, do this for both sides. And then dig along the bottom of these to create a really weird rectangular tunnel. And I bet you guess what happens next. Dig the whole thing out. This might take you a while, but here are a few tips on hollowing things out. 1. I built mine in impurity and then spread hallowed onto it by placing a few pearlstone blocks around the edges. This helps a lot because the purity's underground enemies are a cakewalk compared to the, how do I put this nicely? Creatively balanced underground hallowed enemies. Bombs and dynamite are nice and speedy, but are also quite messy, so don't use them near the edges, and just drain all the water you find into the lower caves. Once finished, you'll have a giant open space filled with bats, so the finished room is 201 tiles by 100 tiles. Next, you need to flatten the floor, and if you want to, the walls and ceiling. You don't have to do the walls and ceiling, but I think it looks better when you do, so I did it anyway. Make sure the floor is a few blocks thick, to prevent any enemies from doing any funny phasing through the floor stuff. I also like to hammer away any natural background walls, just so it looks like a nice empty open space. But that was only stage 1. Head back to the middle, I hope you haven't forgotten where that is, because you're going to need it. Build 41 blocks up in the air from the center, place 14 clockwise conveyor belts, with 8 hanging over to the left, counting from the center, and 7 hanging from the right. Next, you want to copy this block layout. I don't think it matters what material you use, I just like the house part being made out of wood and the top part being made out of pearlstone. Next, add the wooden planks. These somehow count as a door, don't ask me how. Then add a bed, background walls, and a torch. The farm is designed not to have the player be killed, but the respawn point is there, just in case you want to be able to log in there, or you are dumb like me and forgot to summon the summons and die. Next, add the heart lantern, campfire, and water candle. Health regen is always nice, and the water candle is very important because it increases enemy spawn rates. Then add the timer in this corner, then add 3 teleporters up the top in these positions. Next, head to the middle block of where you'll be AFK, and put a teleporter directly under it, and then link it up to this teleporter. Make sure not to have it link up with anything else in the room. Next, go down to the middle and use your ruler and plot out 50 tiles to the left and right. Use the wrench to put down one wire when you find the point. Then go over to it and put the teleporters down directly underneath where each wire was. Then wire each of them up to one of the teleporters up at the top. Having more than one teleporter up top prevents enemies from getting teleported back down, and having at least 3 down the bottom makes them get teleported up faster, and thus increasing the rates of the farm. Next, I hope you like that word by the way, put a dart trap on the ground inside the left or right wall, then hook it up to a timer. The darts will hit mimics and cause them to head towards the player, meaning they can be killed for extra stuff, and so they don't take up spawn spots. A step I completely forgot to include in the initial voice recording, knock these 2 blocks out here as you need to do that for later. Next, put bubbles in these positions and fill it with lava. These will catch the bats that are randomly flying around. You can put up the banners over time as it's unlikely you have all of them already, but they are very important for the farm to reach maximum efficiency. Another point I forgot to include in the initial voice recording, this wooden plank up here, you can't see it because of all the chaos there, that one, that should be a solid block, a piece of wood like that, or any material, it doesn't particularly matter, that just needs to be a solid block. If you're in later game, you can put some spiky ball traps in the kill chamber. This will boost the farm's rates even more, but they aren't necessary, so don't worry if you aren't at that stage of the game yet. Your next job is to, make it into the correct biome so you can actually farm there. That will, as long as you've got just a bit of pearlstone down here, it will become hallowed, and as soon as you hear the music, in there, this is hallowed. Look at it go! There we go! Chaos Elemental. I'm sure you believe me that it worked anyway, and look, the bat's gonna go up and get stuck. Wow, this farm is great. The last thing you can do, but it's completely unnecessary for getting the Rod of Discord, you can place down a load of blocks up here to get that biome's key. Just remember you can't have the Crimson or the Corruption here as it clashes with the Hallowed. So your options are Ice, Desert or Jungle, and you'll get Hallowed keys anyway. You can even do Plantera fights in here if you choose Jungle. Ain't a good idea by the way. Right, now we need to talk gear. The first goal of your gear is to deal with enchanted swords. The second goal is to help you up the farm's rates. I've come up with 2 different builds you can use. To explain the differences between them, I need to first talk about the item cap. The item cap is the process of despawning items once there are too many on the ground. There can only be 400 loose items on the ground at a time. Once this cap is reached, old items will start despawning, in the order they were dropped to make space for new items. And you might say, there's no way 400 items will get dropped on the ground at the same time, that would take ages, and I would agree. However, coins count as an item. Well, for example, if 23 silver coins drop from one enemy, that counts as one item, but we are killing a lot of enemies, so this does very quickly become an issue. The first build will allow all coins and a good few items to end up in your inventory, meaning you can AFK for hours at a time without having the item cap reached at all. The drawback with this build is it's much slower than the other build. The drawback of the other build, however, is you need to check back every 30 minutes to an hour, as coins, items, and potentially your Rod of Discord will be spewed across the whole room. I'm making such a big fuss about the item cap, as we can't be having a Rod of Discord get despawned and replaced by another stupid armor polish, can we? Both builds are quite similar in terms of equipment, but the fast one requires the twins to be defeated. It doesn't matter about the other mech bosses, and the slower one just requires a single mechanical boss to be defeated, so you can take your pick on which one. First, I'll cover the slower build that can be used for longer AFK sessions. This build is melee, and its only job is to keep the player safe by smacking enchanted swords, keeping the bats off, and destroying any chaos elementals that decide to teleport into the box with you. The first item you want is a good mace. My recommendation is the Dao Pal. If you like living on the edge or aren't playing in master mode, the Sun Fury will do fine. Next, you'll need an item that will provide you immunity to curse, as getting cursed from an enchanted sword will cause you to stop swinging the mace around, causing you to become defenseless and then possibly die. The most ideal item to achieve immunity to curse is the Unk Shield, due to its increased defense. Taking knockback inside the farm isn't an issue, as this block prevents you from getting hit on top of the platform, and the conveyors will always push you back into the right spot regardless of where you get hit to. The easiest way to get immunity to curse is to just wear a Nazar dropped from cursed skulls in the dungeon. Your next items need to be things that will keep your health up and kill off enemies that are attacking you. I use the Star Veil. Its stars will help clear off any enemies that attack you, and the increased invincibility frames will keep you alive longer when being attacked by an enchanted sword. Next, I use the Queen Slime Expert drop, Volatile Gelatin, as it provides a bit of extra damage for things that are trying to hurt you. If you're in normal mode, don't worry about it. I then use the Charm of Myths. It makes no difference if you use this or the Band of Regen, as they provide the same effect here, as you can't exactly press heal while not at your computer. I then use a Stinger Necklace for the armor penetration, and the bees provide a very minimal, but still useful amount of damage to the things that attack you. The Power Glove is the best you can do without defeating all of the mechanical bosses, but once you have the option to, upgrading to the Mechanical Glove and then the Fire Gauntlets are well worth it, as the melee speed and damage is very useful when bashing stuff. And then a Warrior Emblem for a bit of extra damage. These are what I personally consider the most optimal accessories for this build. However, as long as you have immunity to curse, you should be fine on normal and expert. In master mode, try to get as many of these items as you can. As for your armor, just go for the best melee set you can get your hands on. There's a major bonus to titanium armor, as the shards help kill things that try and attack you. Hallowed armor is a good alternative when you're a bit further in the game, as the Holy Blessing allows you to avoid lots of attacks. And the Orichalcum's Petal attack is pretty useful as well. Just pick what's easiest for you. As for the prefixes, if you have most of the accessories I mentioned here, you won't need to worry. None of mine have anything remotely useful on, so don't worry about it. If you do want to put forges on, go for melee speed, damage, or best of all, defense. I only recommend using this specific build if you're incapable of killing the twins without the aid of the Rod of Discord, or you're planning to go AFK for long periods of time, such as overnight. This is only possible due to the Souls of Light stacking themselves very conveniently now instead of just floating about everywhere. I will point this out now. These holes in the side are for the summons to get in and out, which are used as part of the next build. If you only ever intend to use this melee build, then you don't need to include these. However, the bats that it lets into the chamber can hardly hurt you, and the top one will let an enemy fall down and get teleported straight back up every now and again. So I'll leave it up to you, but the farm is unusable via the second build if you take them out, so just be sure about it. The second build uses the same concept of bashing stuff that attacks you with a mace, but uses summons as well. As I've mentioned, the drawback of this is that the loot will be thrown all over the room, meaning the item cap will be filled up very fast and you will need to check back more often to pick up anything useful. A large portion will still make its way up to you, but you will still need to check the items below. And here's where I made a giant mistake while testing. I thought I could use the sniper scope and sniper rifle to have a look at what was down there without having to move. Unfortunately for me, having these items in your inventory causes enemies to spawn much further away, completely breaking the farm, so you can't use any of these. I think this is to stop you seeing enemies actually spawn, but it seems to have no issue doing this in other parts of the game. The only way to check what's down there is to remove your spawn, magic mirror, pile on or walk back over, look around, reset your spawn, and then magic mirror again. Might sound like a hassle if you have to do this every 30 minutes to an hour, but you will get your Rod of Discord much faster this way. Right, second build time. For weapons, you need a Darrow Pow and an Optic Staff, both with pretty good prefixes. For armor, you will want Hallowed Summoner Armor, or if you suck at the mech bosses like myself, Spider Armor will do you just fine. Accessories. I've already explained why these items are used, so I'll just put them in a list. Unk Shield or Nazar, Volatile Gelatin, Star Veil, Charm of Myths, Stinger Necklace, Power Glove, and Summoner Emblem. If you're in later game, you can replace the Power Glove and Stinger Necklace with Summoner accessories. If you aren't wearing an Unk Shield, with this specific build it is imperative that you wear at least some kind of shield. As this block up here, which is meant to keep you locked in place, this needs to be destroyed and replaced with another plank for the second build, and getting hit up on top of this plank, which is highly possible, will cause all enemies to stop spawning. So you need to wear a Cobalt or Obsidian shield or Paladin shield, whatever the case, in order to prevent knockback from stopping the farm completely. Here are two items that are well past the point of the game that the farm is designed for, but they increase the rates dramatically, so they're still worth talking about. The Spore Sack will shred Hallowed Mimics and will obliterate anything that comes through the teleporters. This should be used for both builds, and the Stardust Dragon will just go mad and destroy everything. This only works with the Summon build, and the loot will be dropped even further away than with the twins. And finally, how to use the farm. You might notice that there's no obvious way in or out of the farm, which everyone made fun of me for when I showed them the farm, as they thought I was using the Rod of Discord to farm the Rod of Discord. But you can just grapple to the bottom, take a bit of lava damage, set your spawn, then drop down a magic mirror. To get out, go over to the bed, remove your spawn, and then magic mirror. Unfortunately, I can't find a way to AFK Rods of Discord while having the game open in the background. I had an idea to have the player launched around by dart traps, but I couldn't get it to work. If you have any ideas, I would love to hear them. You need to have the player be moved around without using a conveyor belt or a minecart. The first build is much easier to use. Turn on the timer, equip all the right stuff, select your mace, and then put something chunky on your mouse. Or if you're smart, set up some kind of clever computer thingy to do it for you. I just go with the chunky thing. Then leave your computer. Once you come back, all the items will either be in your inventory or just sitting up here. Some items will be on the floor once your inventory is full and Hallowed mimics die. Nearly all of the money will be picked up by the players, so the cap won't be reached and these items won't despawn. You can head back to base and sell your extra stuff, or just trash it, as chances are you're doing quite well for money by this point. The Rod of Discord sprite is quite large, so you should see it as soon as you look at your computer screen. For the second build, do the same thing by turning it on and equipping the right gear. And up here I said that this tile needs to be a block, however, only with regards to the first build. For the second build, this needs to be a plank, or the twins will get stuck inside the box with you and proceed to do absolutely nothing, so make sure this is a plank, and that you also have your shield equipped. Then, make sure to spawn the summons. The amount of times I've forgotten this and died over and over is incredible. However, this time you need to be standing with your character facing towards the left. This is so when the twins return to you, they try and position themselves behind you, and will then fly out of this gap, back out into the farm, and will see more goons to kill and shoot off again. Sometimes they get up into the top section, and this hole is for the same purpose of letting them out. Then select your mace, grab the brick, and then plonk it on. Make sure your mouse is on the left half of your screen, otherwise your character will turn around when you use the mace. When you want to see your spoils every 30 minutes to an hour, remove spawn, magic mirror, pile on or walk back over, drop down, the slime mount really helps for doing this fast, scoop up your things, reset spawn and magic mirror. There's still a high chance your Rod of Discord will end up top anyway. Both have minded. Two very quick things I thought of very late in editing. While you're using the farm, you'll get the banners, obviously, in your inventory. You need to place these all over the farm. There is just enough space to place one of every banner of all the enemies that will be farmed here. Once you have all of them, especially the Hallowed Mimic one, the rates will go up really, really fast. And another thing you can do, every time you look at your computer, you can just drink a battle potion. It will double the rates for the next 7 minutes. It won't make a huge difference if you're AFKing for long periods of time, but it's a tiny bit of help, and when you have to AFK for many, many hours, that can make the difference. The main thing about farming for this item, or any item in this game, is patience. It's meant to drop from every 1 in 400 Chaos Elementals. However, I've killed well over 3,000 and have still only acquired 3, so just have your patience and you will get the item, and it is well worth it once you have it, because oh boy is it useful. Or you could just be Lolcoff and achieve absolutely nothing besides killing yourself and annoying me. Right, I'm done now. Thanks for watching. I really hope at least someone gets something useful out of watching this, as this video took me well over 100 hours of testing, voice recording, editing, then noticing mistakes and having to redo loads of it. If you have any questions or any improvements to suggest, or you have anything to say at all on topic or not, leave it in the comment. I'll do my best to respond to everything. If you enjoyed, consider subscribing, as I post lots of other things that you might also like. See you on the flip side.